he's a dog.
He's a dog.
It's always going to be a difference from a player that play great and a dog. That's all I'm saying. If you can take that with you, there's always people that can play great, and then there's dogs. You might want to be a hurt. Dun, 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 dun. Because it's about to get serious, y'all. I don't think y'all understand America. You feel me? This episode right here, we get to talk the talk. We get to dive in, be real analysts. I know this like a podcast, but we get to talk the realness of how the peoples feel. Because I am the voice of the people. I am the VOP. I am the energy coach at State Farm Arena. But it ain't about me, because I got somebody that's going to match my energy. Ladies and gentlemen, the People's Insider and the NBA reporter for Bleacher Report, Jake Fischer.
I gotta match that energy. You're bringing it.
Come
You're
on,
bringing
man.
It. It's Wednesday morning or Thursday morning. I had 2 coffees.
Why?
Because I had to match you.
See, white people got to stay down on that caffeine, man. This is all natural, man.
I know. When I was Zaccharie Risacher's age at 19 years old, I had that energy. Now I'm an old man.
Oh, okay. Well, see, you just jumping right into it. How you feel about Richard Shea?
I like him, man.
You like him or you like him?
I like him, especially after being here, talking to him after practice yesterday.
Oh, he don't talk to me. I be yelling. I be like, Richard Shea. He just walked right past me.
There's something about reporting to me where you can talk about these players with their coaches, with the front office, with draft scouts who are flying over to France and logging him game by game. When you actually sit down with a kid, he's still a kid. He's only 19.
I hear you.
He's such a young kid, but he has such a clear understanding of it's cliche, but stacking habits and building this thing game by game, which I think is such an important characteristic for someone who is the number 1 pick, who could have a lot of expectations, but has to recognize that this is going to be a years-long process to him getting to being that type of franchise.
But in the
guy.
way that the NBA has shaped and molded these guys, do they really have time? Because they're bringing in new guys that's ready year by year.
It's true. I think he does. I think, especially being here the last couple of days, there's definitely a real energy around this building about we're good now. Like, even talking to Caris LeVert last night post-game, he was saying we're better than our record, and
Definitely.
we're in the position to play kind of a bit of a party pooper for one of these top seeds in the East. So there's that belief right now, but also there's an added belief and a hope, like you were saying before we went on air, about what this young flock of wings around Trae Young can ultimately become, especially being that Jalen Johnson's not a part of this equation right now. So
you could tell we're missing his energy on the court. And as a Hawks fan, and I've been, I want to say, analyzing and evaluating of, especially when you got other teams and you see them build franchises, right? Like you see them build franchises. I'm from here, and we've been trying to figure out, are they building a franchise or are they just, we don't understand sometimes the business of the game because we done had great players. We let them go. We done had great situations. We just didn't understand how to capitalize. And then it's always looking like the Hawks is starting over from ground zero. As a Hawks fan, as I'm an affiliate, you know what I'm saying? And they rock with me because they know I'm the voice of the people and the energy coach. I know how to get that dog out of them. It's like, now that the people are coming, entertain us, because we want those championships. We want franchise. How do we have a franchise if we don't have a franchise?
I mean, right now,
are we building it off the bird?
Who's the bird?
The Hawks bird? Is we building a franchise off of this? Or are we building a real franchise?
You're building a real franchise off, at least, if you want to go down the list and go to Vit Krejci and go to Mo Gay, like you can keep Terrence Mann, you can keep adding all these guys, but Dyson, Zach, and Jalen, they're all 22, 23 and under.
And I think we keep them. Don't
I think so too.
let them go.
I mean, you locked in Jalen to a 5-year deal.
Okay.
Dyson's coming up. I mean, I don't want to get too far ahead of the 8 ball here, but he's got the same type of restricted free agency stuff that Jalen just got locked up in last fall. Defensive Player of the Year candidate, Most Improved Player of the Year candidate.
So how you feel about the trade line? Like the trade line deadline? Because I didn't know that they still be doing like trades in the middle of the season and
that's like 80% of my job, so I'm pretty aware of
right.
it. Yeah.
So okay, because I was a little offended. I told you, okay, I got to get used to working with the Hawks and not being the voice of the people that the Hawks represents.
You got to do both.
So now I'm like, all right, I can't tell you how I feel, but I can at least let you know my frustration and the people's frustration. We didn't understand the trade at first.
The DeAndre trade?
Are you crazy? Why? Why is he leaving? He's one of our like you said, if we're building a franchise, DeAndre Hunter is starting to be one of our best players. All right? He's developing, and he's like, you can depend on him. Okay? We got Trae. We got Capella. We got Johnson. He hurt. Okay. That was kind of like our core. And we had Bogey. Okay. That was our core.
Yeah.
So they started doing the trade line, deadline. People woke up out their sleep. Before you know it, Hunter gone. We got 3 other people, but we got what? 3 second-round draft. That's my phone right there. Grab it. Man, nobody calling me at 12 o'clock. They ask for money. No, I don't need it. Just take it out so you won't hit a little. So we traded him. But just for DeAndre Hunter himself, it showed me how valuable he was. Because we end up getting 3 second-round draft picks plus 2 first-round swaps. And we got 3 extra people. So it was like, all right, we was confused about the trade, but it was more so about the value of the trade. And I was like, all right, and just because you ain't come out the first round, that don't mean you ain't good. Because you could be second round, third round, and come out and be a dog. So I'm looking at it as like, that's 3 second-round draft picks, maybe somebody that slipped up on somebody. That's good enough for us to go grab somebody. So we almost got like 8 second-round picks and 2 first-round picks. I'm like, that's a lot of people. And 3 extra people. And I like Man. I like LeVert. I like Ning. I ain't gonna lie. Like, LeVert and Man, I rock with them boys. I feel like we got a lot out of that trade, though.
You got to have Niang on the pod. He's the funniest guy in the league.
Man, let me tell you something. I like Niang because he talk.
He talks.
He be talking to the real crazy. He like a Kevin Garnett.
One of my favorite stories ever covering the league. I went down to Philly in like early December 2022, and I was waiting to do an interview with Joel Embiid. George Niang is filming because he was with the Sixers at the time. He was filming one of those like Jumbotron Christmas videos coming up in a couple weeks.
Right.
He kept messing up the card. So over and over and over again, he kept having to go, "Season's greetings," for like a half hour. So now, to this day, when I see him, I go, "Season's greetings."
That's y'all little personal thing.
For sure, yeah.
Do you think the Hawks will be a little further with a healthy Jalen Johnson?
Of course. I mean, I was talking to someone yesterday who said that he has like a +9 wins added, whatever the statistic was. And, I mean, like we said, Karras was saying he thinks his team's a little bit better than their record. When you add Jalen into this equation, he's not just 6'10", super athletic, guards across multiple positions. He's electrifying. He is someone who totally changes the entire geometry of the floor,
right?
Because he can rip the ball off the rim, get out in transition, and if you don't stop him, if you don't put a man in front of the ball, he is running right down the center of the court, and he's dunking on everybody.
See, by me being an entertainer, I study people, right? And I played sports. And I'm not going to say that I would have made it this far. But I made it, and I understand their position. And the only thing that I'm missing from them is aggression.
Mm-hmm.
Is being a dog. So I think with Jalen Johnson, because that's how you tap into your talent. Because even by me being on stage, you got to be a dog. You got to be aggressive to go out there being funny in front of people you never seen
This
before.
is what I do.
You see what I'm saying? You got to go talk your talk and report the facts. But that takes some type of aggression.
Yeah.
I think Jalen Johnson talent scares him. Because he's such a kid that when he does it on court, it's exciting, and he acts like he didn't know that he could do that.
It's like a superhero
it's like
figuring out what his powers are.
Right. When he dunk on somebody, he be like, you see how everybody go crazy. He like, I can't believe I did that.
Yeah.
As the years go by, he's going to develop such a dog mentality, man.
I think he already has it. Like, you talk to anyone around him.
He got it.
Yeah.
He got it. See, it's a difference. When you get on that court and you know I'm about to put on a show.
Yeah.
It's like a Anthony Edwards. You see what I'm saying? A Ja Morant energy. He's playing Jalen, don't get me wrong. Jalen's just playing with the team.
Yeah.
If he would just so happen to take over and be like, drop my shoulders. Because he like this, like, what you want me to do? What you want me to do? And it's like, listen, sometimes you got to take initiative and be the man.
So you're saying there's a difference between knowing you can and knowing you will and are going to.
Right.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Because it's like the momentum builds versus him coming in. He already having that mindset, dog set, because it's a mentality thing. I almost got to scare you out of your position to think, damn, I think the house finna whoop our ass. You don't know I've been up all night, but I'm coming in here letting you know, but they go Jalen Johnson down. It's just like a Kobe effect when everybody was playing against the Lakers. You see Kobe down there, you know Kobe finna come in here and go crazy because you know he a dog.
Yeah.
So it's like now when I see players in the NBA, I'm like, they just be playing because they know the talent got them there versus them saying, let me take over and really have a business.
In his defense, he got paid. He was doing his thing, and then he got hurt. And that kind of has been a bit of a story for him throughout his career.
Because
every time he's been kind of building, he's had an injury setback to kind of deflate the air out of the balloon a little bit. But to his credit, when he has come back,
he always go crazy.
He goes crazy.
That's what
remember those 2 games in LA last year? Those 2 games he had in LA? He was doing exactly what you were talking about.
You feel me?
It was Kobe's house, the house that Kobe built.
You feel me?
He brought that Mamba mentality, and he was dunking on everybody.
He dunked on everybody. But that be what separates you. And it be like, that's why. You see what I'm saying? I don't want you to give him a game or two. Even when you think you have a bad game, you still had a good game.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I wish Jalen Johnson the best. We praying for a speedy recovery, brother. You did, and I can't wait to see you be a dog. Now, we got to talk about the OG. He's built the franchise, and this is why I like it. It go back to you being the backup, and now you the face of the franchise. Because you know why? You brought the dog out you. You start being the dog. You start owning it. You start claiming it. And that's what happens when you be a dog. Trae Young. Do you feel that, especially how the NBA is, it's politics. They got, you going to be the all-star this year. You know what I'm saying? Nobody knows the requirements of being an all-star. Do you think our OG, our veteran, face of the franchise, is underrated?
It's a good question because there's this whole concept, right, in sports talk media that, like, you get so overrated, you become underrated kind of thing.
Right.
And I think because the last couple years was this whole experimental setup with him and DeJounte, it wasn't just about Trae anymore, right? It was about those 2 guys together. 2 all-stars sharing a backcourt, big trade, 3 first-round picks out the door, and kind of all this pressure about, is this fit going to work, as opposed to just how good are these guys individually, right? One guy would get hurt. It'd be their show. There was all this, evaluation about what they looked like separately compared to what they looked like individually. Now you have this situation where it's back to Trae being kind of the main heliocentric pick and roll creator at the top of the key. He's got secondary guys. Dyson has his own on-ball abilities.
Yes, sir.
We see Zach. We see Jalen when healthy. Karras comes in now post-trade deadline. He's uplifting the second unit. But yeah, like last night was such an example of how quietly Trae Young can just be an assassin out there. Career high 21 free throw attempts, knocks them all down. And he honestly didn't even have that great of a game. Like, he seemed a little bit out of sorts. He was leaving his feet a lot without necessarily having a plan with the ball. That's not something we typically see out of him. Jump passes, that's more of like a bigger guard kind of thing, a Tyrese Halliburton, a LeBron James, a Luka Doncic, because when you are that big, you can leave the floor and still be able to survey things. For Trae, he seemed a little bit off kilter, and he's still putting up 30 and 12. So that ability to just produce all the time, it does get taken for granted because I think there's this notion in the league that availability is the greatest ability.
Right.
To me, it's consistency. That's what separates all-stars from starters, and what separates starters from rotation players, and what separates rotation players from your 12th, your 13th, your 15th man. If you can go out and do X, whatever it is, for Trae Young, it's go out and get 30 and 10 every night.
Easy.
With
the help of the team.
With the help of the team.
Right.
That does start to get underrated because people take it for granted. So I would agree that there is some type of, I don't know, not appreciating enough for someone his size. Like, he's my height.
Right.
Like, I always forget until I see him in a locker room or I
aggressive.
talk to him shoot around, and he's strong. Like, he's not, Steph is still stacked compared to him. For him to be out there against 7-footers, and he gets into the paint, he gets 2 feet into the paint.
He gonna get there.
And he's finishing. It really is an impressive, just overall apparatus of what he does that I do think gets taken for granted and overlooked because he just does it all the time. And, he gets kind of grouped in with the guys who complain about fouls and the whole, foul baiting stuff that he was really at the center of a couple years ago. That discourse, I think, takes away from appreciating what he does. Because also, I've said this back to when he was at Oklahoma. His passing is actually his greatest skill set. It's not the ability to shoot from the logo that gets all the attention and the Bleacher Report highlights and what have you.
Right.
He can manipulate the defense like the best of them, especially at a high pick and roll stuff where all 5 guys are looking at him. He's a maestro, able to look here and fire it to the opposite corner. That type of playmaking ability, I think, gets devalued with him because he can do that, highlight-worthy shoot from half court. That, of course, is impressive in its own right. But from like a winning standpoint, from an engaging the whole offense standpoint, that ability to really have the ball and the whole defense on a string with every single one of your bounces, it's really, really special.
I think the goal is longevity now. It's not about listening to the critics or even listening to us. You know what I'm saying? Because we just analysts. We just watching from being a fan. They're actually out there doing it as a profession. But I think now Trae has to kick into his veteran position, which means is I make everybody play better, which means is I got to bring the dog out of all y'all. You feel me? Like, you can't wait for me and then pick up. I got to train. This is my team. You good for this. You good for this. You good for this. If you do that, I can get you the ball. I have 35 assists. You feel me? If you stand over there and
that would be an NBA record.
That'll be an NBA record. But if all y'all getting shots, who have contributed? Who assists you with all those shots? And then, like you said, quietly, you didn't even know I scored 22 points. I'm going to take all the fouls.
He's starting to do that, though. Number one, bringing Zach and bringing Dyson to Oklahoma this summer was such a quiet, behind-the-scenes, OG type of thing to do.
Dyson.
On the floor now, too, you're seeing Trae hit ahead to these guys, and he's letting them go out and make decisions, which benefits him in the long run, too. It's not like a sneaky, selfish thing. It's a thing that just it's a rising tide lifts all boats kind of thing, where if you've got Dyson, if you've got Zach, if you've got T-Man, if you've got Karis LeVert, if you've got anyone who you have a little bit of faith in being able to create something in transition with the defense on their heels, he hits ahead to them. They put pressure on the defense that allows him.
And he can dish it back.
Exactly.
It allows him to preserve his energy.
Exactly. Right. And for someone who is as dominant on the ball as he is, to be able to perform off the catch when the defense is coming at him. He's so shifty. He's so crafty. He can use the defenders, momentum against them. It really adds a whole secondary look to the offense that doesn't really exist when he's just on the ball. So that also takes, I think, some maturity to understand, especially someone who's been so comfortable his whole life, pounding. If I give it up, it's going to come back.
Right.
I think that's something that just in life, not let alone basketball, if you give, you're going to get back more. That's something that I think takes some time to appreciate.
And as a team, when there's a situation that goes good, as a coach standpoint, do you start with that situation and then you build around it? Like, you just don't be like, okay, they went out there and played good together, and then be like, all right, I'm gonna just sub, and you be like, oh, wait a minute, did you not just see the dynamic of who you just had on the court? Pay attention to the energy. Pay attention to how they play off each other, because we reporters and we just be watching. You know what I'm saying? We analysts. Yeah. But like
we reporters.
We are reporters. We just be watching what they think they supposed to do or what we think they supposed to do. Yeah. But as a coach standpoint, right, when you have a certain group out there, you just don't put it to the side like, oh, we just had a good quarter, and be like, no, you got to pay attention to the dynamics and the chemistry. Some people just play better off each other. Now, especially when you're making adjustments, like Big O, our center / power forward going crazy. Like, him as a starter, they swap position with him and Capella. He has been better as a starter, and I'm talking about to be honest, he's playing better in that position and gaining more recognition because he's playing like a small forward. He putting up numbers like a small forward. You look up, it's 25 points, 11 rebounds, 8 assists. Coming from a center.
What Onyeka does bring, to your point, compared to Clint, and Clint has been a phenomenal pick-and-roll lob threat dating back to Houston, right? That's always been his bread and butter. And for years, you would always hear, no matter the trade speculation, no matter the contract situation, Trae Young loves playing with Clint, loves playing with a lob threat, and he's a drop anchor in pick-and-roll defense. But what Onyeka adds, not just on offense, the ability to switch out more. You called him more of a wing. The ability to switch out more, guard on the perimeter, move his feet. Offensively, too, he's got the threat of the shot.
Yes, he does.
He's got a little bit more of a ball-handling bag to him. Kind of more of a Bam Adebayo mold as opposed to that traditional take the top off the defense, rim runner, lob threat type of guy. So he still does bring that, right? He can get up, he can finish, he can really, compete at the rim on both sides of the floor. But he adds that pop element of the high screen action that Trae always, is most comfortable in. And you go back to the days of John Collins where Trae kind of throws that like behind the back little dish for the trail three. Like, Onyeka can do that. He's not the most proficient outside shooter, but he has that capability, which too. What'd you say?
Like 60%.
He's not
from
Karl Anthony Towns.
He can. But Karl don't play for the Hawks.
Of course. But we're speaking all comparatively and all that jazz. So just having the threat and the fact that you're even saying, oh, you don't think he's that good from there?
What?
Just having that feel,
right?
It makes the defense think. And part of your goal on offense is to be putting the defense in 3-on-2 or in the inverse 2-on-3 situations or making them make decisions, right?
They don't know how we're coming.
Exactly. Am I going to be rushing out on Onyeka's shot because he's a viable threat from there, or am I going to be sitting back because he can also play make? So the fact that he can put the defense in those uncomfortable situations where they have to be making decisions, that can lead to a breakdown, that can lead to a 4-on-3 or a 3-on-2 opportunity for the Hawks on offense. That's a very key extra degree of what this team can look like, aside from just Trae brings it up, gets a screen, and he makes the play.
Right. I like that. Because Capella, even Capella coming off the bench, it gives the team more energy because he does have a starter mentality, but now he can be the best man coming in at 6 minutes, and he can finish off if he get hot and still get those lobs. So how do you feel about the Eastern Conference? How do you feel?
It's a very interesting conference right now, being that Cleveland and Boston have kind of been the runaway favorites all year.
Mm-hmm.
Everything beyond that has been a giant question mark. The Knicks have been phenomenal, right? But they can't beat either of those two teams.
Right.
They can't beat OKC.
Right.
So everyone's kind of wondering how good actually are the New York Knicks.
Right.
Behind them, you've got this kind of glut of, the Bucks and the Pacers and the Pistons that they're all very different, right? Milwaukee's this old veteran team. They make a big deadline move of getting Kyle Kuzma for Chris Middleton. But the pressure's kind of on. There's been this whole conversation about how good are they in comparison to what Giannis Antetokounmpo wants for a couple years now. The Pacers are the opposite. They're this young upstart. They just kind of got into this contending sphere last year, making a surprise run to the Eastern Conference Finals.
We beat them.
You beat them. And, Detroit, from the total depths of the league.
Beat them too.
There's a lot of wins on the Hawks belt this year.
Yeah, we're going crazy.
The Hawks are flying. And then you got Atlanta coming right in there. But behind the Hawks, two teams that have just been kind of decimated by injuries in Orlando, Miami. They've had their own kind of chaotic years. The Heat, of course, went through the whole Jimmy Butler stuff. So, to me, it's just so interesting that you've got Cleveland and Boston, but everything else behind them, total question mark. So, when you hear Karras say last night, we could make some noise at the 7th seed, I kind of believe him because, you just mentioned every single team. Hawks have beat them.
Yeah.
Pistons have beat them. Orlando's beat them. So, the playoffs are generally so matchup-based, right? You go to the West, right? Golden State, they're having this whole resurgence with Jimmy, Draymond at the 5.
Right.
What happens if they draw Denver and they have to play Nikola Jokic? So, all these matchups are going to be very, very interesting to see how the bracket breaks because it might not be about how good you are, how skilled you are, how much chemistry you have flowing through that locker room. Mm-hmm. It could just come down to, do you match up well with that team? Mm-hmm. And this Hawks team, having all these wings we're talking about, having different center looks that we're talking about with Onyeka versus Clint, having Trae, who we've seen
he could develop.
In the Garden.
He could develop now.
He could be the best player on the floor.
Right.
So the Hawks have the total recipe to be some type of playoff wild card, man. We'll see how it all unfolds because it will be so dependent on who is on the other side of the floor. So for all these teams, for Boston, for Cleveland, for New York, for Milwaukee, it'll be very, very interesting to see how the bracket ultimately breaks out.
Say no more. Okay, now I don't want to be in here taking up too much of your time because I know you got to go back to Bleacher Report.
I'm here, man. I'm here with you.
But now it's time for the rapid fire. We need to have something that come up and be like, rapid fire. Like my face pop up, rapid fire. All right, here we go. Who is the most underrated player in the NBA?
Underrated player in the NBA? Man. I might say Jason Tatum, even though he's
a champion.
He's a
underrated.
champion.
Once you become a champion, you ain't underrated. You let them folk know I'm a champion.
But not Finals MVP.
But that was hard. That was hard. That was a hard.
For sure. And Jalen Brown, very deserving. Very deserving.
That's hard when two people are playing very great. Like, it's either him or him.
Yeah.
You can't get mad.
But, last night, no offense to our Hawks great hosts here, I had the Celtics Thunder game up on the laptop while I was also watching Atlanta-Charlotte. And Tatum just... I was a Tatum hater coming out of Duke. Like, I thought, okay, this guy just tunnel vision scorer, takes a lot of bad mid-range, yada, yada. But the way he's developed into being, like, a total pure playmaker, he can do that whole stuff we're talking about, Trae, manipulate the defense, make on-a-rope, one-hand passes to the opposite corner. He's really developed as a playmaker, not just a scorer that I really saw last year in those conference finals against the Pacers when I was covering that series. Mm-hmm. He's just totally evolved beyond get buckets guy. Mm-hmm. And I don't think people really recognize that he kind of is right on par with Trae, with Luka, with Halliburton. If Boston wasn't as rich in terms of having so many playmakers on the perimeter, if they didn't have Jalen Brown and Drew Holiday and Derek White and Peyton Pritchard. If he was set up to be one of those guys who just comes up and runs high pick and roll every single play, I think people would understand that he is capable of doing that. Because I didn't believe it until I followed them in the playoffs. So that's my answer.
You know why?
Why?
We're going to beat them, too. Ain't about them. Just gave a whole Bleacher report about Jason Tatum. And we would have been up here talking about our Atlanta Hawks. But you know why he is the way he is? He's a dog.
He's a dog.
It's always going to be a difference from a player that played great and a dog. That's all I'm saying. If you can take that with you, there's always people that can play great. And then there's dogs. You might want to be a dog. Here we go. Favorite Atlanta rapper. Y'all know he don't know nobody.
I'm a DC Young Fly fan.
Hey, my boy. That was a good answer.
Although, in addition to you, I saw 2 Chainz in Atlantic City on Labor Day weekend years ago. Had a table with the fellas. 2 Chainz did his thing.
He did his
2
thing.
Chainz did his thing.
That's what I'm talking about. Shout out to 2 Chainz, man. Okay. Favorite player to interview?
Favorite player to interview? I mean, not just to be a homer, but Jalen Johnson last year when I came down here, we talked for 45 minutes. And he had never really opened up to anyone about how hard of an experience he had at Duke. That was really why I wanted to talk to him, because part of why he's so good right now to me is the fact that he has really internalized all of the doubt and the hate that he had. I mean, he fell to 20 for really no reason other than the fact that he had a really challenging season playing during ridiculous COVID parameters at Duke. They were living in this old hotel. I forget the name of it, but it was this dark, dingy, just not what you think of when you think about your college experience, right?
Right.
And he went to practice, went to this hotel, went to a team shoot-around, went back to the hotel, had a team meal, went back to the hotel. Right. And then he left mid-season because just
mentally
it wasn't it. And he got hate for that from, I mean, the Duke fan base is real. It's, I mean, you hear so many fan bases say, oh, like, we're so-and-so nation. Like, Duke has a Duke nation. And it's part of because the expectations are so high to win every single year. So the fact that at the time, I forget, he was probably 22, right? I was just some random guy who flew into Atlanta. We sat down right around the corner after practice, and he just kind of opened himself up to me and was thoughtful and poised and really showed that he's taken this craft seriously. Like, I was trying to say this at one point earlier in the show. In the offseason, he's going with his trainer at 6 a.m. in the morning to get shots up. Then he goes back in the afternoon to do a whole other skill work stuff and weight training and whatever. Like, you want to talk about a guy who has that dog in him and recognizes that he's got the potential, but also, like, recognizes that he's got a long way to go and that he knows what he has to do to get there, and he can talk about it fluently, thoughtfully, conscientiously. That was a really I remember walking out of this building being like, wow, that's a special kid I just talked to.
You ready to go. What about your favorite coach?
Favorite coach? I mean, Quinn is very thoughtful as well. I will say the guy that I'm walking in his press conference thinking to myself, I wonder what just ism this guy's going to drop right now. Mark Dagnall at OKC is just kind of like a different, even the other night against Denver, I don't know if you saw, he put a player who really isn't in the rotation at all.
Right.
He left him at the scorer's table because the referees technically have to check to see if you want to substitute this guy onto the floor. And he did that because Jokic is so good at just grabbing the ball out of the net and firing it up court. And he was trying to kind of play this mind game with the refs, with Jokic, just to disrupt the rhythm and kind of take some advantage that Jokic has. And it wasn't just the fact that Mark thought to do that. The way he executed it and discussed it and was kind of
like, that was the plan and it worked.
And teaching the public, he just has these kind of like chess move ideas, but also like he's got that dog in him. Like, think about it. This guy was a G League head coach, gets tapped to be the NBA head coach, and then he's winning coach of the year.
Talk your talk. That dog.
Dog.
That dog. You know what? We should have dog of the year. we should have dog of the year. Yeah. Who gonna be the dog of the year? Cause that's the only way to be great around here. If you gonna be a dog. Listen, you can make it to the NBA. It's so many ways. You ain't gotta make it to the NBA no more. You can go get an NIL deal.
Mm-hmm.
You can stop in college. You can go play for the church and still get somebody to sponsor the church. Can I get an amen?
Amen.
Amen. So what I'm trying to tell you is they done open up so many avenues for these folks to be great. All you got to do is pick and choose where you going to be, and you got to be a dog.
That's it.
And you can stand out. Man, I think that was a great segment today, man. We should have this one, you know what I'm saying, dog of the year. First of all, we appreciate you, brother.
I appreciate you.
We appreciate all your contributions, you know what I'm saying, to the game. And we wish you so much with your success, and we can't wait to have you back. Ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. What you say? The people's inside of himself, huh? Jake Fischer.
The voice of the people.
Come talk. See, man, but you do your homework. You quick.